What if I told you that the reason you've always felt too much, too intense, too emotional, too passionate, is because you carry something only 1% of people ever awaken? Carl Jung called it libido, not in the narrow sense of desire, but as the raw, creative fire of the soul, the same force that builds civilizations, falls in love, or burns itself in obsession. Most people repress it, waste it, or drown it in pleasure. But a few, the rare ones, are born unable to ignore it. Their bodies feel like magnets, their eyes carry unspoken depth, and their presence changes the atmosphere of a room. This energy is not about sex, it's about life itself, demanding to be expressed through you. If you've ever wondered why you attract chaos, intensity, or people who can't forget you, this might be the reason, because Jung believed that when the divine fire awakens, your soul becomes both the blessing and the curse. Throughout history, humans have recognized a mysterious force within us that goes beyond mere physical attraction. Carl Jung, the renowned Swiss psychiatrist and founder of analytical psychology, didn't see this energy as simply about desire for physical intimacy. Instead, he viewed it as something far more profound, a creative life force he called libido. When Jung spoke of libido, he meant the primal energy that drives not just our sexual desires, but all our creative impulses, our spiritual yearnings, and our deepest motivations. This energy flows through every aspect of our being, shaping our dreams, our relationships, and even our sense of purpose. It's the fire that makes life meaningful and vibrant. Jung believed that most people never fully connect with this powerful energy. Instead, they live in what he called a persona, a mask we wear to fit into society. Behind this mask, our true nature sleeps like a dragon in a cave, breathing fire into our dreams, but rarely emerging into our waking life. The rare individuals who carry this awakened energy are different. They've somehow pierced the veil of social conditioning that keeps most people disconnected from their deeper nature. These people aren't necessarily more sexually active. That's a common misunderstanding. Rather, they've integrated this primal life force into their conscious identity, allowing it to flow more freely through every aspect of their lives. Think about those people you've met who seem to radiate an unusual intensity. They speak with conviction that comes from somewhere deep. Their creativity seems boundless. Their presence fills a room without them saying a word. According to Jung's framework, these individuals have likely integrated more of their primal energy into their conscious life. This integration doesn't happen by accident. Jung described a process he called individuation, the journey of becoming who we truly are. This path requires confronting parts of ourselves we've buried in what Jung called the shadow, all the desires, impulses, and traits we've learned to hide because they don't fit our self-image or social expectations. For many, sexual energy becomes trapped in this shadow realm. We learn early that these powerful feelings must be controlled, hidden, or channeled only in specific ways. This creates a split in our psyche. On the surface, we're rational and proper. Underneath, this dragon of primal energy sleeps restlessly, occasionally breathing fire into our dreams, fantasies, or unexpected emotional outbursts. The minority who carry this awakened sexual energy have often faced their shadows directly. They've done the difficult inner work of acknowledging and integrating disowned parts of themselves. This doesn't mean they act on every impulse, quite the opposite. By bringing this energy into conscious awareness, they gain the ability to direct it purposefully rather than being unconsciously driven by it. Jung observed that this process of integration often happens through symbols and dreams. The unconscious mind speaks in images rather than words, and sexual energy frequently appears in our dreams as water, fire, wild animals, or mysterious strangers. By paying attention to these symbols, we begin a dialogue with the deeper parts of ourselves where this energy resides. The journey toward awakening this energy isn't about becoming more sexually expressive in the conventional sense. It's about allowing this life force to flow through all aspects of our being, our work, our creativity, our spiritual life, our relationships. When this happens, we develop a kind of authenticity that others can sense. We become more fully alive. Jung believed that modern society, with its emphasis on rationality and material success, often cuts people off from this vital energy. We become disembodied heads, living in our thoughts, but disconnected from the wisdom of our bodies and the depths of our souls. The price we pay is a sense of emptiness, a feeling that something essential is missing from our lives. Those rare individuals who maintain their connection to this primal energy often feel like outsiders. They may struggle to fit into conventional structures that seem lifeless to them. Yet they also possess a vitality that others are drawn to, sometimes without understanding why. They remind us of something we've forgotten about ourselves, that beneath our social roles and daily routines lies a vast ocean of creative potential waiting to be explored. How do you know if you're one of the rare individuals carrying this awakened energy? The signs are subtle but unmistakable, both to yourself and to those around you. This isn't about being the loudest person in the room or the most conventionally attractive. It's about a quality of presence that transcends ordinary social interactions. First, there's the feeling of being too much for regular environments. From childhood, you may have noticed that your emotions run deeper, your thoughts range further, and your energy levels fluctuate more dramatically than those around you. Teachers might have called you intense or sensitive. Friends might say you feel things too deeply. What they're really noticing is that your connection to this primal energy hasn't been fully suppressed by social conditioning. Another sign is the nature of your relationships. People with awakened sexual energy often experience unusually intense connections with others. These aren't necessarily romantic relationships. They can be friendships, mentorships, or creative partnerships. What makes them distinct is their transformative quality. Something shifts when deep energy meets deep energy, creating bonds that can feel almost supernatural in their significance. Your relationship with creativity offers another clue. Jung observed that this primal energy seeks expression, whether through art, music, writing, building businesses, or solving complex problems. If you've always felt driven to create, not just as a hobby, but as a necessity for your well-being, you might be channeling this powerful energy. The act of creation becomes almost trance-like, a flowing state where time disappears and something greater seems to move through you. Dreams provide perhaps the most direct window into your relationship with this energy. Those carrying awakened libido often experience vivid, symbolic dreams populated by powerful archetypal figures, wise elders, wild animals, seductive strangers, or threatening shadows. These dreams aren't random. They're communications from the deeper layers of your psyche where this energy resides, offering guidance on your journey of integration. The way others respond to you can also reveal your energetic signature. Do strangers tell you their life stories within minutes of meeting you? Do you find yourself becoming a confidant for people's deepest secrets? This happens because people unconsciously sense your connection to deeper currents of life. They intuitively trust that you can handle the parts of themselves they usually keep hidden. However, carrying this energy isn't always easy. Jung recognized that with great power comes significant challenges. One of these is the tendency to attract projections from others. Because you embody something many people have disconnected from within themselves, they may project their unfulfilled desires onto you, seeing you as a savior, a tempter, or a threat to their carefully constructed worldview. Another challenge is managing the energy itself. Like a powerful river, this force seeks movement and expression. If blocked or denied, it can turn destructive, manifesting as anxiety, obsessive thoughts, self-sabotaging behaviors, or explosive emotional outbursts. Learning to channel this energy constructively becomes a lifelong practice. Perhaps the greatest difficulty is the loneliness that can come with being different. In a world where most people live on the surface of life, those who swim in deeper waters can feel fundamentally misunderstood. You might find yourself speaking a language that few others comprehend, seeing patterns that others miss, or feeling moved by experiences that leave others untouched. Yet this same uniqueness is also your gift. Jung believed that individuals who successfully integrate this powerful energy become catalysts for growth in their communities. By embodying a more complete version of humanity, they help others remember what's possible. Their authenticity creates a field of permission around them, allowing others to access parts of themselves they've long neglected. The journey of the 1% isn't about specialness for its own sake. It's about becoming a vessel through which this universal energy can flow more freely into the world. Everyone has access to this force, but few choose to face the challenges involved in fully awakening it. Those who do find themselves living a life that feels mythic in its dimensions, filled with deeper meaning, greater challenges, and more profound connections than conventional existence allows. By the way, if you're curious to go even deeper and integrate your shadows and light, check out the Sim Method ebook. It's a concise guide that can help you unlock your inner power in just 5 minutes a day. The link is in the first pinned comment below. 3. The shadow dance. Why most people suppress their sexual energy. If this powerful energy is our birthright, why do so few people fully embody it? Jung devoted much of his life to understanding the ways we become disconnected from our deeper nature. He discovered that this separation begins early in life, through a process that shapes all of us, often without our awareness. As young children, we arrive in the world as bundles of raw energy and potential. We feel our emotions fully. We express our desires without shame. We move, create, and explore, following the natural rhythms of our bodies and instincts. But soon, we encounter the boundaries of social acceptance. We learn which parts of ourselves draw approval and which parts trigger rejection or punishment. Jung called this the beginning of the shadow, all the aspects of ourselves that we learn to hide, suppress, or deny because they don't fit our family's or society's expectations. For most people, sexual energy becomes one of the first casualties of this process. Its power and unpredictability make adults nervous. Its expression in children often meets with disapproval, redirection, or even punishment. By the time we reach adulthood, this pattern of suppression has become automatic. We no longer need others to police our energy. We've internalized the restrictions. Jung observed that this creates a split in our psyche. The conscious mind, which he called the ego, becomes identified with our socially acceptable traits. Meanwhile, our disowned qualities and energies form the shadow, a powerful but largely unconscious part of ourselves that influences our lives from below the surface. This psychological structure helps explain why awakened sexual energy remains so rare. Most people invest tremendous effort in maintaining the boundary between their conscious identity and their shadow material. They construct what Jung called a persona, the mask we wear in social situations that presents only our most acceptable qualities. Maintaining this mask requires constant vigilance against the eruption of shadow material. The energy cost of this suppression is enormous. Think about how much mental and emotional effort goes into controlling your thoughts, monitoring your speech, managing your appearance, and regulating your behavior to maintain social approval. This ongoing self-censorship drains precisely the energy that could be fueling your creativity, authenticity, and zest for life. Society reinforces this pattern through what Jung might call collective shadow projection. Throughout history, cultures have identified certain groups as embodying the disowned sexual energy of the majority. These others then become targets for fascination, fear, and often persecution. Consider how often artistic, bohemian, or sexually liberated communities have faced social stigma while simultaneously exerting a powerful attraction on the mainstream. The media perpetuates this split by alternately glorifying and condemning expressions of primal energy. Celebrities are elevated for their charisma and sensuality, then criticized when these same qualities lead to behavior that crosses social boundaries. These contradictory messages reinforce our internal conflict about our own powerful energies. Our educational systems further this disconnection by prioritizing rational thinking over bodily wisdom, emotional intelligence, or creative expression. Children learn early that success comes from controlling their energy rather than channeling it. By adulthood, many people have lost the ability to feel the subtle movements of their life force, responding only to its most dramatic manifestations. Religious traditions often contribute another layer of complication. While many spiritual paths originally included healthy relationships with sexual energy, seeing it as sacred rather than sinful, these nuanced understandings frequently give way to simplistic prohibitions. The result is a spirituality disconnected from the body's wisdom and the soul's deepest longings. Jung observed that all this suppression doesn't make the energy disappear. It simply drives it underground. There it continues to influence our lives through unconscious behaviors, attraction to people who embody our disowned qualities, sudden emotional outbursts that seem to come from nowhere, dreams filled with symbolic representations of what we've denied, or physical symptoms that express emotionally what we cannot acknowledge consciously. The cost of this mass suppression extends beyond individual suffering. Jung believed that societies that systematically disconnect from their primal energies eventually face collective crises that force a reckoning with what's been denied. These may take the form of cultural upheavals, artistic revolutions, or the emergence of charismatic figures who embody the collective's disowned energy, for better or worse. The journey back to wholeness begins with recognizing this pattern. The very qualities that make the 1% unusual, their emotional depth, their creative power, their authentic presence, aren't supernatural gifts. They're natural human capacities that have been protected from the normal process of suppression. The path to awakening your own powerful energy starts with acknowledging how and why you learned to disconnect from it in the first place. Jung was fascinated by alchemy, the medieval practice of attempting to transform base metals into gold. He recognized that behind its literal techniques lay a powerful metaphor for psychological transformation. The alchemist's laboratory represented the human psyche. The base metals symbolized our raw, unconscious energies, and the philosopher's stone, that could transmute lead into gold, represented the integrated self. This alchemical framework provides a perfect model for understanding how raw sexual energy transforms into the magnetic presence that characterizes those rare individuals who fully embody their power. This transformation isn't about suppressing or indulging our primal energy. It's about refining it through conscious awareness and intentional practice. The first stage of this alchemical process is recognition. Before any transformation can occur, you must acknowledge the full spectrum of your energy without judgment. This means developing what Jung called active imagination, the ability to dialogue with the images, impulses, and emotions that arise from your deeper nature. When sexual energy stirs within you, can you observe it with curiosity rather than immediately acting on it or pushing it away? The practice of mindfulness provides a contemporary approach to this ancient wisdom. By learning to observe your thoughts, sensations, and emotions without becoming identified with them, you create space for a new relationship with your energy. You begin to recognize the difference between the energy itself and the habits you've developed around expressing or suppressing it. The second alchemical stage involves containment. Alchemists used sealed vessels to create the pressure and heat necessary for transformation. Similarly, your conscious awareness creates a psychological container for your raw energy. Rather than leaking this power through unconscious behaviors, compulsive talking, mindless scrolling, excessive eating, or other distractions, you learn to hold the energy within your awareness. This containment creates what Jung called psychic tension, a state of creative potential that precedes meaningful change. Most people find this tension uncomfortable and quickly discharge it through familiar patterns. Those developing magnetic presence learn to stay present with this discomfort, trusting that it's the necessary precursor to transformation. The third stage involves separation, distinguishing between different aspects of your energy. Jung observed that our primal nature contains multiple elements that need to be recognized individually before they can be recombined in a healthier configuration. There's the creative impulse that seeks expression. There's the connective desire that reaches toward others. There's the spiritual longing that stretches toward transcendent meaning. Each of these deserves its own acknowledgement. This separation process allows you to see how your energy has become tangled with other psychological material, childhood wounds, cultural conditioning, or defensive patterns. The person who radiates magnetic presence has done this sorting work, distinguishing between their authentic energy and the distortions that have accumulated around it. The fourth alchemical stage involves purification. This doesn't mean removing the dirty aspects of your sexual energy. Jung firmly rejected this moralistic approach. Rather, it means clearing away the misconceptions, fears, and rigid patterns that prevent this energy from flowing naturally. Purification might involve healing traumatic experiences that distorted your relationship with your body. It might mean questioning cultural messages that taught you to fear your power. It could include releasing addictive behaviors that provide temporary relief but ultimately drain your vitality. The fifth stage brings us to conjunction, the recombination of what has been separated. Having recognized, contained, separated, and purified your energy, you now begin the process of consciously directing it toward meaningful expression. This is where raw power transforms into presence. Your creative impulses find their appropriate outlets. Your connective energy flows into relationships that honor both your boundaries and your desires. Your spiritual longings inform your daily choices rather than remaining abstract ideals. People with magnetic presence have mastered this stage. Their sexual energy doesn't leak out in inappropriate ways or get bottled up behind rigid control. Instead, it infuses everything they do with an authentic aliveness that others can sense. Their words carry weight because they're backed by embodied truth rather than just intellectual understanding. Their touch communicates genuine connection because it flows from integrated rather than fragmented energy. The final alchemical stage is multiplication, the process by which transformed energy generates more of itself. Jung observed that individuals who successfully integrate their primal nature don't end up depleted. They become more energetically abundant. This creates a positive cycle where authentic expression generates renewed vitality, which enables deeper authenticity, creating ever greater personal power. This alchemical process isn't a one-time achievement, but a lifelong practice. Even those rare individuals who naturally embody their full energy continually refine their relationship with this power. The difference is that they've established a conscious partnership with their primal nature rather than remaining caught in patterns of rejection or unconscious expression. The reward for this inner work is a quality of presence that transcends ordinary charisma. You develop what Jung might call a numinous quality, an almost tangible field of authentic being that affects everyone you encounter. This isn't about manipulation or performance. It's about becoming so fully yourself that you naturally evoke the authentic potential in others. The journey toward embodying your full sexual energy isn't a straight path of continuous improvement. Jung understood that authentic transformation often involves periods of disorientation, doubt, and intense challenge. He found parallels in many spiritual traditions, which describe a dark night of the soul, a necessary phase of dissolution before rebirth can occur. When you begin to awaken your dormant energy, you're not simply adding something new to your existing identity, you're fundamentally reorganizing your entire psychic structure. The personality you've carefully constructed over decades, what Jung called the ego, must loosen its control to allow something deeper and more authentic to emerge. This process naturally creates periods of uncertainty and vulnerability. One of the first challenges involves facing the ways you've used lack of energy as an excuse. Many people have built elaborate justifications for why they haven't pursued their dreams, expressed their truth, or created deeper connections. I'm too tired. I'm not creative. I'm just naturally reserved. These explanations provide comfort and protection from risk. As your energy awakens, these familiar shields no longer work, leaving you more exposed to life's full intensity. Another difficult passage comes when your changing energy affects your relationships. Friends, family members, and partners have grown accustomed to you operating within certain energetic boundaries. As you begin to embody more of your authentic power, some relationships will naturally evolve, while others may struggle to accommodate the emerging you. Jung observed that major psychological transformations rarely occur without some relational disruption. The awakening process often triggers what Jung called inflation, temporary states where the ego identifies with the larger energies emerging from the unconscious. You might experience periods of grandiosity, believing your newfound vitality makes you superior to others. Conversely, you might swing into deflation, feeling overwhelmed by the power moving through you and doubting your ability to contain it. Both extremes are normal phases in the integration process, not signs of failure. Perhaps the most challenging aspect of this journey involves confronting your shadow material. As your energy increases, it illuminates all the unresolved patterns, wounds, and disowned aspects of yourself that have been hiding in the dark. Jung was clear that there is no authentic transformation without this shadow work. The most magnetic individuals aren't those who've bypassed their darkness, but those who've had the courage to face it directly. This shadow confrontation often reveals how you've misused your energy in the past. You might recognize patterns of manipulation, where you've unconsciously used your personal power to control others. You might see how you've scattered your creative force among too many projects, never fully committing to any. You might discover how you've used sensual pleasures to numb yourself, rather than to enhance your aliveness. These realizations can be painful, but they're essential for genuine transformation. The body itself often becomes a site of challenge during this awakening. Jung recognized that psychological energy is never separate from physical experience. As your libido reawakens, you might experience unusual sensations, energy rushes, spontaneous movements, changes in your sleep patterns, or intensified sensitivity. Western medicine offers few frameworks for understanding these experiences, often leaving people to navigate them without guidance. Many people also encounter what Jung termed the religious problem, a crisis of meaning that emerges as conventional beliefs no longer contain their expanding awareness. The awakening of sexual energy often coincides with spiritual questions. What is the purpose of this force moving through me? How does my individual experience connect to something larger? What does it mean to be fully human in a seemingly indifferent universe? These existential questions can feel overwhelming when they arise from direct experience rather than abstract thinking. Another challenge comes from the collective pressure to return to normal. Society has powerful mechanisms for reinforcing conformity. As you begin to embody more of your authentic energy, you'll likely face both subtle and overt messages suggesting you're becoming too much, too different, too intense. The pull toward the familiar comfort of your old self can feel almost gravitational in its force. During these challenging phases, many people make the mistake of trying to control or direct the process according to their ego's timeline and preferences. Jung observed that authentic transformation follows its own organic rhythm that rarely aligns with our conscious expectations. The very control that served you well in other areas of life often becomes an obstacle to the deeper surrender that transformation requires. What sustains people through these challenges is developing what Jung called a religious attitude, not adherence to any specific doctrine, but an openness to the mystery unfolding within them. This involves cultivating a relationship with something beyond the ego that can hold and guide the transformation process. Some find this through formal spiritual practices, others through deep connection with nature, artistic creation, or meaningful service. The 1% who successfully navigate these challenges emerge with a quality Jung might describe as twice born. Their energy no longer feels like something they possess or control, but rather something that flows through them with its own intelligence. They carry a hard-earned wisdom about both the light and shadow aspects of power. Their presence communicates not just vitality, but a profound acceptance of the full human experience, its beauty and its pain, its limitations and its possibilities. Jung believed that true psychological insight should lead to practical change in how we live our daily lives. His approach wasn't purely theoretical. He developed specific practices to help people reconnect with their deeper nature. Drawing from his work and complementary traditions, here are tangible ways to cultivate and express your sexual energy in the modern world. Begin with the body, the primary vessel for your life force. Jung understood that modern humans often live as floating heads, disconnected from their physical wisdom. Reclaiming this connection starts with simple awareness. Take time each day to feel your body from the inside, the subtle sensations, the areas of tension and flow, the varying levels of energy in different regions. This practice of embodied awareness creates the foundation for all other work with your sexual energy. Movement practices offer another pathway to awakening. Your body evolved to express energy through motion, yet many modern lives involve hours of physical stillness. Explore forms of movement that feel liberating rather than mechanical. Dance, hiking in nature, swimming, martial arts, or any physical activity where you can lose yourself in the flow. Pay attention to how different movements affect your energy, gradually building a personal vocabulary of embodied expression. Breathwork provides perhaps the most direct access to your sexual energy. In many traditions, breath is seen as the bridge between conscious and unconscious processes. Simple practices like extending your exhales, breathing deeply into your lower belly, or creating circular breathing patterns can quickly shift your energetic state. These techniques become especially valuable during times of overwhelming emotion or creative blocks. Creative expression in any form provides a powerful channel for your awakened energy. Jung placed special emphasis on activities that engage both structure and spontaneity, where technical skill meets free-flowing creativity. Whether through writing, music, visual arts, cooking, gardening, or building, find activities where you can lose track of time in the joy of creation. These aren't hobbies to fill empty hours, but essential practices for circulating your life force. Dream work offered Jung's patients a direct line to their unconscious energies. Keep a dream journal beside your bed and record your dreams immediately upon waking before they fade. Look for recurring symbols, particularly those that might represent aspects of your sexual energy: water, fire, wild animals, mysterious figures, or powerful natural settings. Over time, you'll develop a personal dictionary of symbols that your unconscious uses to communicate with you. Relationship becomes both a practice and an outcome of awakened energy. Jung observed that our most significant connections often mirror our internal state. As your relationship with your own energy evolves, you'll likely find yourself drawn to people who can meet you at this new level of authenticity. Practice speaking your truth, setting clear boundaries, and remaining present with emotional intensity without immediately trying to resolve it. These skills create the container for deeper intimacy. Nature connection provides another essential practice. Jung noticed that people in modern societies suffer from what he called nature deficit, a disconnection from the natural rhythms and cycles that governed human life for millennia. Regular immersion in natural settings, forests, oceans, mountains, deserts, can recalibrate your energy system, bringing it back into alignment with larger patterns of life. Pay special attention to how different landscapes affect your energy and seek out the environments that feel most resonant. Conscious sexuality offers a direct pathway for working with this energy. Jung broke with Freud in seeing sexuality not just as a physical drive, but as a gateway to psychological and spiritual development. This doesn't necessarily mean more sexual activity. It means bringing greater awareness to this dimension of life. Notice how your sexual energy fluctuates with different cycles, how it responds to various stimuli, and how it connects to your overall vitality. Practice directing this energy not just toward physical release, but toward creative expression and deeper connection. Periods of solitude and silence become essential as your energy awakens. Jung himself built a private retreat where he could regularly disconnect from social demands to reconnect with his deeper nature. In a world of constant stimulation, creating intentional spaces of quiet allows your system to integrate the powerful energies moving through you. Even short daily practices of meditation or contemplation can provide this necessary containment. Shadow work remains an ongoing practice for those living with awakened energy. Regularly ask yourself, what am I not wanting to see? Where am I judging others harshly? What emotions do I find intolerable? These questions help identify where your energy has become blocked or distorted by unconscious material. Working with a skilled therapist, trusted friend, or through journaling can help bring these shadows into conscious awareness where they can be integrated. Symbolic practices create bridges between your conscious mind and the deeper layers of psyche where your sexual energy resides. Jung encouraged his patients to work with personal symbols through active imagination, artwork, or ritual. You might create a physical object that represents your energy. Establish a simple daily ritual that honors this force. Or develop a personal mythic narrative that gives meaning to your experience. These symbolic actions speak directly to the unconscious in its own language. Finding community with others on a similar path provides essential support. Jung created what he called temenos, sacred containers where people could share their inner experiences without judgment. Whether through formal groups focused on depth psychology, spiritual communities, or simply deep friendships with like-minded individuals, seek connections where you can speak openly about your journey without having to diminish your energy to make others comfortable. The ultimate practice involves bringing your awakened energy into your everyday life and vocation. Jung believed that each person has a unique contribution to make, what he sometimes called your personal myth. As your energy awakens, you'll likely feel a stronger pull toward work that allows your authentic gifts to serve something larger than yourself. This alignment between inner vitality and outer expression creates a sense of meaning that sustains you through life's inevitable challenges. Remember that cultivating sexual energy isn't about achieving a permanent state of high intensity. Jung emphasized the natural rhythm of expansion and contraction in all living systems. There will be times of vibrant expression and times of necessary withdrawal. The goal isn't constant peak experience, but a fluid relationship with this power, knowing when to amplify it, when to contain it, and when to let it rest, always in service to your broader development and contribution to life.